Today we're going to explore how Outschool succeeded in a seemingly impossible market. How do you build an education platform when giants like Udemy, YouTube, and private tutoring already dominate? The answer lies in inventive problem solving. Let's set the stage. It's 2015. The online education market appears completely saturated. YouTube offered free video tutorials with billions of views. Udemy had over 40 million students taking pre-recorded courses. Private tutoring networks were well established. Coursera had university partnerships. How could anyone compete? This is the critical question that Outschool's founders Amir Nathu and his team had to answer. Where is the white space? What problem remains unsolved? The traditional assumption was that adults were the primary market. All major platforms focused on adult learners seeking career advancement or personal development. Outschool reframed the problem entirely. They identified that children, not adults, were the dramatically underserved segment. They shifted from the oversaturated adult education market to the wide-open K-12 market. This wasn't just a demographic shift, it was a complete rethinking of what online learning could be. Why was this market underserved? Because children have fundamentally different needs than adults. They need social interaction, engagement, and real-time feedback. This led to the second major reframe. Instead of pre-recorded lessons, Outschool focused on live, real-time interaction. Pre-recorded lessons have notoriously low completion rates, typically around 5 to 15%. They offer no interaction and isolated learning. Live small groups offer high engagement, peer learning, and social connection. Let me quantify this difference with some numbers. The average completion rate for pre-recorded courses is about 10%. This means 90% of students who start never finish. In contrast, Outschool's live classes have completion rates around 85%. This is nearly 9 times higher. The engagement ratio is 8.5 times better. This is a massive competitive advantage that comes from the format itself, not from content quality alone. Now let's talk about their third breakthrough insight: embracing unconventional topics. Traditional educational platforms focused on core subjects: math, science, reading, writing. The assumption was that parents only want academic basics. Outschool challenged this assumption. What if niche, unconventional topics could become legitimate entry points to deep learning? They offered classes on Minecraft redstone circuits, Harry Potter literature analysis, Pokémon math, dinosaur paleontology, anime art, and space exploration. These weren't just fun activities, they were gateways to serious learning. Take Minecraft redstone as an example. Students learning to build circuits in Minecraft are actually learning Boolean logic, cause and effect relationships, and basic engineering principles. Pokémon math teaches statistics, probability, and optimization. Kids calculate damage multipliers, type advantages, and optimal team compositions. This is serious mathematical reasoning disguised as play. This taps into a powerful psychological principle: intrinsic motivation. When children are learning about something they already love, their engagement and retention skyrocket. Now let's examine how Outschool solved what's called the two-sided marketplace paradox. This is one of the hardest problems in platform businesses. The chicken and egg problem goes like this. You need teachers to attract students, but you need students to attract teachers. How do you get both sides simultaneously? Teachers need students to make it worth their time. Parents need a variety of classes to choose from. Neither side will join if the other side isn't there. Outschool's solution for teachers was brilliant. They provided instant infrastructure. No need to build your own website, payment system, video platform, or marketing. Let me break down the value proposition for teachers. Traditionally, starting a private tutoring business requires building a website for about $2,000, setting up complex payment systems, spending over $1,000 per month on marketing, and you're limited to local reach. With Outschool, all infrastructure is free and built-in, and you get instant global reach. The global reach creates powerful network effects. A teacher in Australia can teach students in California. A specialized robotics instructor can find students worldwide who share that specific interest. Let me show you the economics with a concrete example. A traditional private tutor might have access to 50,000 families in their local area. On Outschool, that same teacher has potential access to 50 million families globally. That's a 1,000x larger market. This 1,000x market expansion means even the most niche topics can find enough students to sustain a class. Consider an example. You want to teach ancient Greek to children. In your local area, you might find 2 interested families. Not viable. But globally, you can easily find 20 to 30 students. Now, it's a sustainable business. Now let's look at how Outschool solved the problem for parents. The solution was curation and social proof. In traditional private tutoring, discovery is terrible. How do parents find the right teacher? Word of mouth, local ads, hoping for luck. It's inefficient and time-consuming. Traditional search might take 10+ hours of research with scattered results and no reviews. On Outschool, parents can browse a curated catalog with rich filters, reviews, and ratings in just 30 minutes. Reviews and ratings are crucial. They provide social proof that reduces risk for parents. A teacher with 500 5-star reviews is immediately trustworthy. Let me quantify the trust advantage. You can think of trust as the product of number of reviews times average rating times completion rate. For example, a teacher with 500 reviews, a 4.9 rating, and 85% completion rate has a trust score of about 2082. A private tutor with just 5 word-of-mouth recommendations, even with perfect quality, has a trust score of only 22.5. That's 90 times lower. Outschool also uses recommendation algorithms similar to Netflix or Amazon. If your child took a Minecraft class and loved it, the platform suggests similar classes. All of this creates powerful network effects that become a competitive moat. Here's how the virtuous cycle works. More teachers create more class variety. More classes attract more students. More students attract more teachers. And more interactions generate more data, which improves recommendations, which attracts even more users. This is why Outschool became increasingly difficult to compete with over time. The network effects compound. Let's look at Outschool's actual growth trajectory to see these principles in action. In 2015, Outschool launched with about 50 teachers offering a few hundred classes. By 2020, they had grown to 10,000 teachers. The pandemic accelerated growth as parents desperately needed online options for their children. By 2021, they reached a peak of 140,000 teachers, serving millions of students worldwide. Let's examine their revenue model and why it's more efficient than private advertising. Outschool takes a 30% commission on all class fees. Teachers keep 70%. This might seem high, but let's compare it to the alternative. If a class costs $20, the teacher earns $14 after Outschool's commission. Now compare this to acquiring a student through private advertising. The typical cost to acquire one student through Google Ads or Facebook Ads is $50 to $100. At $50 acquisition cost and $20 per class, you need 2.5 classes just to break even. And this assumes 100% margin, which is impossible if you're running your own infrastructure. Outschool provides infrastructure, marketing through the platform, and trust through reviews. The 30% commission is actually a bargain compared to the total cost of running independently. Let me write out the economic efficiency equation. Efficiency equals value delivered divided by cost. For Outschool, the value delivered is infrastructure plus marketing plus trust, all for a 0.30 or 30% commission. Going independent gives you control but costs 30% for advertising, 10% for infrastructure, and 20% of revenue equivalent in time for managing everything. That's 60% total. The key lesson is that the platform allows teachers to specialize in what they do best: teaching. They don't have to become marketing experts, web developers, or accountants. Another innovation was Outschool's pricing flexibility. Teachers can set their own prices based on their experience, the complexity of the topic, and market demand. This is unlike traditional education where prices are fixed. This allows for real price discovery. A highly specialized robotics class taught by an engineer might charge $40 per hour. A general art class might charge $15. The market determines the value. High-demand specialized topics command $40 per hour. Medium niche topics get $25. Standard subjects are around $20. Introductory broad topics are $15. This pricing flexibility maximizes both teacher income and student value. Now let's talk about quality control, which is crucial for marketplace trust. Outschool uses 4 main quality control mechanisms. First, teachers go through a vetting process. They submit background checks, provide credentials, and must pass an interview. Second, students and parents leave reviews after every single class. This creates continuous feedback. Third, completion rates are tracked. If students consistently drop out of a teacher's classes, that's a red flag. Fourth, algorithms flag outliers. If a teacher suddenly gets several bad reviews, or if completion rates drop, the platform investigates. This creates strong accountability without requiring heavy-handed centralized control. The market largely regulates itself through transparency. Let's discuss how COVID-19 acted as an accelerant for Outschool's model. Before the pandemic, many parents were skeptical of online learning for young children. They thought kids needed to be in person. The pandemic forced mass experimentation. Schools closed. Parents had no choice but to try online options. What parents discovered was that live online learning, especially in small groups, could work beautifully for children. The skepticism evaporated. Outschool student base grew roughly 100x from 2019 to 2021. This was an unprecedented acceleration that proved the model at massive scale. Post-pandemic, as schools reopened, Outschool had to adapt. They shifted focus to enrichment and supplemental learning rather than replacing school. Let me explain why small groups are so powerful for learning. One-on-one tutoring is highly effective, but very expensive. It might cost $60 to $100 per hour. Large classrooms of 25 to 30 students are cheap per student, but attention is diluted and many students fall through the cracks. Small groups of 5 to 12 students are the sweet spot. Students get significant individual attention, peer learning effects kick in, and costs are reasonable. Attention per student equals teacher time divided by group size. In a small group of 8, each student gets about 7.5 minutes of direct attention in a 60-minute class. In a large class of 28, each student gets only 2.1 minutes. That's less than 1/3 the attention. Plus, in small groups, peer learning effects multiply the impact. Students learn from each other's questions and insights. Let's examine the curriculum innovation that Outschool enabled. Traditional education uses standardized curriculum designed for the average student. This bores advanced students and loses struggling students. Outschool enables hyper-customized microcurricula. Want to learn calculus through analyzing basketball statistics? There's a class for that. Want to study mythology through comic books? Available. Consider a class on math through video game design. Students learn geometry by designing game levels, algebra by programming character stats, and probability by balancing random events. This is called contextualized learning, and research shows it improves retention by 40 to 60% compared to abstract instruction. Retention with context is about 1.5 times better than abstract learning. This is a huge educational advantage. Let me explain the global classroom effect, which is one of Outschool's hidden superpowers. In Outschool classes, students regularly interact with peers from different countries, cultures, and backgrounds. This creates natural cultural learning. Imagine a World War II history class with students from the US, UK, Germany, Japan, Russia, and France. Each brings different national perspectives. The learning is multidimensional. Even time zone challenges become opportunities. Classes are offered around the clock, so students can learn when it works for their schedule, not just when school happens to be open. Let's return to teacher empowerment, which is core to Outschool's success. Traditional teaching is limited by geography. You can only teach where you live, and it's constrained by bureaucracy, standardized tests, and rigid schedules. Outschool gives teachers entrepreneurial freedom. Design your own curriculum. Set your own schedule. Choose your specialty. Build your own brand. Many teachers report earning more on Outschool than they did in traditional school systems, often with better hours and more job satisfaction. A traditional teacher might earn $45,000 per year with a fixed schedule, summers off, but unpaid. An active Outschool teacher can earn $60,000 or more per year with a completely flexible schedule, working year-round if desired. Now let me extract the strategic lessons that other founders can learn from Outschool's success. Lesson 1. Look for underserved segments even in markets that appear saturated. The adult education market was crowded, but K-12 live online was wide open. Lesson 2. Challenge assumptions about format. Everyone assumed pre-recorded was the future. Outschool bet on live and won. Lesson 3. Embrace unconventional entry points. Minecraft and Pokémon were dismissed by others but became powerful gateways to serious learning. Lesson 4. Solve both sides of a marketplace simultaneously. Don't just focus on supply or demand. Solve the incentive problem for both sides at once. Lesson 5. Design for network effects from day one. Each user should make the platform more valuable for all other users. Lesson 6. Your platform's take rate is justified when you provide disproportionate value compared to alternatives. Outschool's 30% commission delivered far more than 30% value. Let me give you some quantitative success metrics to show the magnitude of what Outschool achieved. Outschool raised $265 million in venture capital funding. At peak in 2021, they reached a valuation of $3 billion. They had 140,000 teachers on the platform at peak. Over 200,000 different classes were offered. Students from over 120 countries participated. These numbers demonstrate genuine product-market fit at scale. This wasn't a niche solution. It was a massive market that no one else had properly served. Let me end with a philosophical question that Outschool's success raises. What is education really for? Is it about standardized knowledge transfer? Or is it about igniting curiosity and teaching kids how to learn? The traditional answer focused on transferring a fixed body of knowledge. Everyone learns the same things in the same way. Outschool's implicit answer is different. Education should ignite curiosity by starting with what students are already passionate about. The content matters less than the thinking skills developed. Both approaches have value. But in a world where information is free, and I can answer factual questions, the ability to learn, adapt, and maintain curiosity becomes paramount. Let me summarize Outschool's complete innovation stack. First, reframe. Target children, not adults, in the online learning space. Second, reframe. Prioritize live interaction over pre-recorded content. Third, reframe. Use niche topics as gateways to deep learning, not obstacles to scale. First solution. Give teachers instant infrastructure and global reach. Second solution. Give parents curation, discovery, and social proof through reviews. The advantage. Network effects create compounding value that becomes a competitive moat. The result was a $3 billion business in what everyone thought was an impossible market to enter. The final insight is this. Problems are only unsolvable if you accept current assumptions. When you challenge those assumptions and reframe the problem space, new solutions emerge.